All right, here we go. Welcome to another edition here as we get set to talk with Kevin Hembrook as we want to talk to him about a number of things here from his perspective. But what I also want to tell you is that we really appreciate all of this that everyone is doing right now, from the medical community, from our first responders, from all the people providing us groceries and restaurants and all those wonderful things. We welcome you back. I'm Jason Hafman, a board member. I wanted to get a couple things out of the way first before we jump in and talk to Kevin Hembrook, who I'm really excited to bring on to today's interview and today's program. Is that I am a board member, a volunteer for Dane by Local. If I ever say anything on this that is my opinion, it is not representative of Dane by Local. Also, our guests, that is their perspective, not representative necessarily of Dane by Local's approach or stance on anything, just so we have that clear. But what we're trying to do with this whole series of things and videos is to bring you information about what is happening in our community from all sides of this pandemic. So we're looking at things from various aspects and also telling you about resources and information that is there for you to consider that may be helpful to you. That is the point. We do want to talk to a medical professional and get an update locally on our situation, and that is in the works. I'm working on that now. But there's a whole lot more than just the medical in this case. And so that's what we're trying to do. So with all of that, welcome to today's live chat. If you want to join us and have a question, or like I said in my post this morning, simply thank a first responder because they do some awesome stuff and provide us services all the time, and they're there for us. You can do that too. I'm sure Kevin would appreciate it. But I want to welcome Kevin in. Kevin, thanks so much for hanging with me today, talking to us about your perspective as a firefighter and a first responder during this time.
Yeah, thanks for having me in.
Well, give us a little bit of your background here. How long have you been a firefighter in Madison?
I've been a firefighter for 20 years. Started in February of 2000.
So you look too young for that. You
yeah,
don't look like
that, hope that continues. Wait, let me take the hat off. There you go.
Okay. There you go. I look a lot older in the face, but I do have some on top that helps me out a little bit.
Yeah, so 20 years this past February. It's been a while. But it's been good. It goes really fast.
Wow. So what got you into firefighting, and what made you want to do this?
Oh, well, I actually wanted to be a police officer. I went to school to be a police officer. And was part-time in the city where I grew up in Delavan for a few years. And then I had a friend that was on the Madison Fire Department who said, hey, have you ever thought about being a full-time firefighter? And I said, not really. I was a volunteer firefighter. I knew I liked the work, but never really considered the full-time thing. And we talked for quite a while, and I decided to apply for the job, and was very fortunate after going through the process, which is a very lengthy process, but I was very fortunate to get offered the position and couldn't pass it up, and been thankful about it ever since. I've always wanted to be able to help people in their time of need, whether that was through policing or through fire service. And my life took a turn there 20 years ago. So it's been good ever since. So.
Yeah, well, we appreciate your service through the fire department and everybody that does that. Now, if you also mentioned to me, since you've been in the department for 20 years, you've also been involved in some other things, and currently and for a while now you've held a post that's pretty important looking at safety and health of our firefighters. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so about 5 years ago, I was appointed to be chairperson for our local 311 health and safety committee. President Malin Mitchell of our local thought that actually Malin and I grew up together. He's the reason why I did come to Madison. He's the person I sat down with and talked about the job. So it's kind of funny that worked out that way. But he thought I would be good for that position, and knew that I had a great deal of care and knowledge about the health and safety of our firefighters and our profession. So I was appreciative of him thinking of me for that position, and I've been working hard at it ever since. And we've done some things with our cancer initiative over the last couple of years that have been great. And now we're trying to keep our members safe through this pandemic.
So I know, again, we're talking to you. You're not necessarily representing the fire department today, but giving a little perspective to us about what it's been like for first responders. Is there anything you can tell us from that health and safety perspective about what firefighters are currently doing to try to stay safe?
Well, absolutely. I mean, on every call, EMS related, we'll send a paramedic ambulance. So there's two paramedics on our ambulances, and then there's four firefighters on the ladder or engines that we respond with. And everybody, a lot of times people ask, well, why do you send so many people to a call? Most of the time we don't really know what the call is going to consist of. Somebody will call in and say they have chest pain or something, and we get there and they're, lying on their back, having a heart attack. So you need more than two people to work through that. We have people that are need more assistance than just the two paramedics can provide. So that's why we always send six. We're fortunate enough to be able to have the resources in Madison to do that. And of course, when we respond to an EMS call, we usually always have our gloves on. That's our protection, I guess. We always wear our gloves on any EMS call we go on. But now we're realizing that with what's going on today, we need more than just gloves. We wear our respirator masks. We have N95 masks. So our N95 masks, if they're put on properly, can keep out 100% of any virus that's in the air, any droplets that are floating around. We'll wear gowns. So we have like a tearaway gown that we could put on, again, to keep any droplets off of our clothing. Goggles or glasses of some type to keep the droplets from getting into our eyes. And of course, our gloves. And then we also will, when we respond to an EMS call in today's time, we will apply a mask on the patient to help prevent the droplets from coming from their mouth. So it's just a little surgical mask. It's not the N95, but it's just something to help from keeping that spray of, just when you talk, you're going to get droplets coming out of your mouth. So we apply a mask to the patient's face if it's feasible. We may hand the mask to them and ask them to put it on themselves. So a lot's changed in just a month's time here in Wisconsin and Mass and throughout the country, obviously, on how we respond to EMS calls and what we ask people to do to help protect us as well as themselves. I mean, a big part of this is protecting the people that we're responding to. We walk into their house. The big thing with this COVID-19 is that you don't know if you have it right away, obviously. So, we can be affected by it, or can
You can be exposed to it, right? Without even
exposed to it. Thank you.
realizing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
struggling for the word.
It's
If
okay.
we're exposed to it, and then we're bringing it into your house, so we want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves from giving it to you, and that's how I actually am living my life, if you will, right now. Is I just act like I have it. I don't feel like I have it, but I act like I have it. When I have to go out to the grocery store, I put a cover on my face. I wear my gloves. I wipe things down when I touch it before and after, because I just don't want to give it to anybody if I do have it. So I just act, and that's how I act at work, and that's how I act in my normal life too. So that's what we're doing. We're acting like we have it and that we don't want to give it to anybody, as well as if we don't have it, we definitely don't want it. So we're doing all we can to protect ourselves and protect our patients that we do come into contact with.
Yeah, I think that's so important during this time, that everyone acts that way. You have to act under that assumption to, like you said, keep yourself healthy, but make sure that you're not, one of those asymptomatic people that's potentially spreading it to others. So, um, I wanted to ask you, if you could tell us a little bit about the perspective of yourself as a first responder going into these situations now with all this added precautions. Is that altering your mindset at all? Is it phasing you at all? Did it at first and now you're used to it? Like, what has that process been like to make all these adjustments during this time?
Yeah, there's been some big adjustments. I think the first, from my perspective, is I was recently promoted to lieutenant back in July. So as a lieutenant, you're in charge of your crew for the day, and you're responsible for their safety. So I feel a huge responsibility knowing that I have 3 to 5 other members that I'm, watching out for. I know we all watch out for ourselves, but I have to watch out for them too, and I care about their safety and welfare. So not only am I worrying about myself and protecting myself, but I have to make sure that all the members of my crew are doing everything they can to protect themselves as well. What was your original question?
I just really wanted to know, how your mindset is, how your perspective is going
Oh,
into
okay.
these calls when you got to go out in
Yeah.
this new world we're living in.
Well, again, I pretty much just assume everybody has this virus. I think that's just the best way to go about it. You know, you just overdo it a little bit. Unfortunately, our protective clothing, our personal protective equipment is a little bit limited. So, like I said earlier, we put gloves on for every call we go on when we're, going out on an EMS call, and those just seem like there's an endless supply up until now. So that's part of the mindset. But again, I just feel like I have to think that everybody has this just to be safe, err on the side of safety. And again, with my crew, making sure that they're doing the same and watching out for them. So it's a total different mindset. I mean, I always think safety when we go on calls, as far as, is the scene safe? Is there any blood or things that we need to worry about as far as body fluids? Is that safe? Sometimes we'll go on car accidents, and that is, we have to worry about power lines down. Do we have to, there's always these safety issues that you're constantly thinking of. And so this COVID-19 virus just adds another element to that whole thinking process of your safety. So it's definitely made it a little bit more stressful at work. Uh, you know, every call we go on, thinking about, is this the one that's going to get us, if you will? So, but in this line of work, every time you go out, you're thinking about your safety. You're thinking about how you're going to mitigate a situation. It's somebody's emergency, how you're going to deal with it in the best way to help them, but to also keep yourself and the people around you safe. So it's definitely something.
Is that something that you see from basically everyone you've encountered? Because you talk about you're a firefighter for 20 years. You also, of course, work with other first responders, EMS, and others, and whatever that you cross paths with on a number of these calls. Is that just something that you've seen across the board, that everyone that you've encountered for the most part is, they're really involved in this to serve? That's the motivation. They want to help people. That's why they do this job. And
Yeah.
because of that, they're willing to take these risks and do the added precautions, but they understand that's just part of the job for them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, every firefighter that I know that I've worked with over the years, I mean, as the adage says, we run into fires when everybody else is running out. So there's something wrong with us, right? um, we're all in it to make things better for people and to help people. And absolutely, this is just another uh, enemy to us, like a fire is. And we just go in and attack it with the knowledge that we have, and with the safety precautions that are in place, and we just handle that way, and we make things better for people, I hope.
Have you, and I'm just speaking more generally here, not asking for specifics, but have you been thanked? Have you received, gratitude from people for doing what you do?
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
that's definitely
I
out
hope
there.
so.
Yeah, we there's emails that come in from businesses and from citizens, and the department shares those with us. When we're out in the public, we get thanked for the, yeah, it's something that you don't really, it's kind of a strange thing when somebody says thanks for what you do, because I just feel like, I would hope somebody would do it for me, or I just feel like it's something that I've always done. So it is a little strange when people do it, but I understand. I understand. I mean, I think people when I see a military person or even a police officer or another firefighter that I don't know from a different department, I'll say thank you too. So I totally understand it, definitely. And the thing that I'm finding out now, is there's there's other people out there that deserve the thanks, and I think we're all getting that now. Like these grocery store workers. I mean, these grocery store workers and pharmacists and uh, people that are doing these essential jobs are just coming into work and potentially being exposed to this virus, but they're doing it because they know that people need to have food, and they're doing it for a paycheck, of course, but I think there's more to it than that. If they were, I think they really care that people get what they need. So um, it's more than just thanking a police officer or a firefighter or a nurse or a doctor. There's like I said, the grocery store clerks and the pharmacists and those type of people that are coming to their job every day, um, even at the risk of potentially getting this virus. So I like to thank them too.
Yeah,
For
we
sure.
all should be. We all should be.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
we've seen that across the board, and that's why I wanted to focus more locally on what our community is doing. So, Kevin, I'll give you the last word here. Is there anything else, message wise, from your perspective as a first responder firefighter, that you want to say to people out there currently? Like, let's say someone has a call where they're going to need your help. Anything you want to put out to people?
Well, I guess the main thing is call 911 if you need it. If you are having serious issues with breathing, um, if you, uh, if you feel like your life is in jeopardy, definitely call 911. That's what it's for. When you call 911, the dispatch is going to ask you lots of questions, and that's one of the things that has changed since this COVID-19 came about is the questioning that our dispatchers have for you. Um, and that's to help us as responders, respond to the scene safer and more efficiently. But if you're having a headache or you're concerned about it, that's when they suggest that you just call your a doctor or your on-call nurse type of thing. Um, Using up the resources of the 911 service uh, for minor symptoms when you can just check in with a nurse or a doctor is a better option. But definitely call 911 if you can't breathe and the pneumonia type stuff is going on with you. And then please answer the questions that the dispatchers are asking you. Like I said, it's kind of a lengthy thing, and it's going to be probably hard to get through if you're having a hard time breathing. But it's really important because it helps us know what we're going into. Um, and then it helps us also notify the hospitals of what we have coming in. So um, that's a big thing.
So use the
But
911 service as you normally would, not more than you normally would, and
yeah,
also provide the best information you can to them, so you, the hospitals, anyone else involved can be as prepared as possible. I think that's great advice
yeah.
and great to tell people.
And then, like I said before, just act like you have it. You know, that's going to help contain this. It's going to help you. It's going to help everybody around you. Because if you do have it and you didn't know it, but you've been acting like you have it, well, then hopefully you didn't give it to anybody. So yeah, that's what I have to say.
All right, Kevin. Hey,
Yeah,
I appreciate your time today. I appreciate what you do. Appreciate everyone on the crew that and the Madison Fire Department, all of our firefighters volunteer across
absolutely.
the state. And I know you guys all have kind of a connection there because you all experience the same thing and have to do the same thing in terms of putting yourself at risk every time you go out on a call. So we appreciate your service. We appreciate everything you guys do. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you for having me on today.
All right. I will let Kevin go and I will see you again soon. Again, we will get another live chat out soon. I'm hoping to Friday. If not by Friday, you'll get one next week for sure as we continue on during this time. But stay safe, be well, everybody.